Hello, everybody. This is from Michaelis, and this is also a video response, sort of, to Dave Cullen, Computing Forever. Now, he shared a video from a white nationalist channel, and it's a video on white genocide. And he says this is great, and it should be shown in schools. Now he did take it down, but then he sort of like doubled down on it, or at least it's appeared that he doubled down on it. Though I can't read his mind, only Dave knows what he's thinking. So here you could see, Dave Cullen saying, I know, man, everyone is a Nazi, especially when they don't in any way support Nazi fascist ideology. But don't let that stop SJWs from orgasmically virtue signaling about finding a wrong thinker where this person, I don't know if they are a feminist or an anti-feminist, because there were anti-feminists who were also calling Dave Cullen out. It wasn't strictly feminists calling him out. Even anti-feminists were calling him out. And this person, wherever in the spectrum they fall on, says you posted a white nationalist material and said the school should endorse it and teach it. What reaction did you expect? Not only that, but on top of it, Braving Ruin is Edgy Sphinx. And Edgy Sphinx is a legitimate like white nationalist. Like he celebrated the death of a political opponent. Um, so this girl died, and Edgy Sphinx or Braving Ruin, same person, says, knowing that this girl was the daughter of a high-ranking EU official honestly makes me feel less sad. Even better, 100% deserve suffering and death. So you are literally talking to an extremist. Braving Ruin, as she speaks, is an ideological extremist. And you're a lot like, you're saying to like an actual Nazi. Man, I know everyone is Nazi, especially when they don't in any way support Nazi fascist ideology. But all of the SJWs orgasmically virtue signaling about finding a wrong thinker, when really this is the guy that you're talking to, a person who says that that girl deserved to die for being a political opponent because she disagrees with him. She deserves to be dead. That's the person you're friends with. Now, I don't know your views. Only you know what your views are. And, maybe you're like a civic nationalist who enjoys talking to everybody. But come on, even anti-feminists have called you out, like Schmerkel. Schmerkel is an anti-feminist, for as far as I know. And he says like this video is about white genocide, breeding us out, white genocide again. No more whites left because of white genocide. This is dumb, Dave. And Schmeckel is an anti-feminist. He spoke out against feminism. So it's not about, it's not just feminists who look at what you said and think, come now, Dave. Even people from the anti-feminist side have been calling you out. So, what is wrong with this video? Are people just triggered? What's all the hubbub about? So, I would just go over the video so that you can see why people are complaining about it.
No, I'm not racist, but...
Well, I thought I heard you say you want to preserve your people.
Yeah, think we have a right to preserve our culture and our people.
Ah, that is racist. So you believe you are God's chosen people? Some kind of master race? That just reminds me of the brown shirt.
Okay, so what's wrong with that? And I think that this video right here, the clip I'm about to play, actually kind of explains what's wrong with that sentence or whatever right there.
Which goes under the delightful title, Was Hitler a Bad Person? So, let's analyze this video.
Like, do you think that Israel should be taking a lot of Syrian refugees in?
It's probably not in their self-interest.
That's not what I asked.
Man, that's hard.
Not really.
Probably, I mean...
Yes or no?
Probably not.
It begins with a voiceover, in which we hear Stefan Molyneux talking to some random American Jewish caller. The Jew is baffled because he is pro-immigration to the US, but when Molyneux asks him if Israel should allow Syrian immigrants to come in, he admits it won't be a good idea. This is the main issue alt-righters have with the Jews. They claim that they have a double standard, that they push for mass immigration into Western countries, while maintaining that only Jews should be allowed to immigrate to Israel. I agree that if this is indeed the case, the alt-right has a legitimate grievance with the Jews. But from what I have seen so far, I am not convinced. The Molyneux video is one of the only examples that the alt-right presents for this alleged hypocrisy, and even that is a false equivalence. Israel cannot take in Syrian refugees because they belong to an enemy state, and you don't let citizens of an enemy state in unless they disavow their loyalty to them. The right equivalence would be to ask about the illegal immigrants from Sudan and Eritrea, which have been infiltrating Israel en masse in the last decade. In my experience, Jews don't have a double standard about it. Those who want Israel to accept those immigrants demand the same from the West as well, and those who want to restrict immigration want it for both Israel and the West. The vast majority of Israelis are very much against Muslim immigration to Europe, have been lamenting it for at least 2 decades, and think Europeans have lost their minds that they allow these immigrants in. Non-Israeli Jews are less nationalistic and more pro-immigration, but they too are in the process of changing their mind about immigration into their countries, as they realize it creates a demographic shift. A similar process is happening in Israel. At first we were generally welcoming to the Sudanese and Eritrean immigrants. In recent years the public opinion turned against them, and the Israeli government is taking measures to prevent them from coming. So I'll need more evidence to believe in the alleged Jewish hypocrisy on this issue. Let's see if we can find it in Marty Buddha's video. The next thing we see is titles from newspapers.
And that is another problem. Well, that's the first problem with this video, is that it doesn't really get Jewish down accurately. You know, like the Jews who are pro-immigration are pro-immigration for themselves and for, Westerners or like Europeans, and the Jews who are anti-immigration or anti-immigration for themselves and for Europeans as well. They have no double standard. So, I mean, if you're going to make a video about Jews, at least get their views correct. And when it comes to Jews, they have a problems taking in hostile refugees or taking refugees from an enemy state. You know, it's like they don't want to take in immigrants that are hostile to them. So that's different than from what this video is hinting at. That it seems like this video is hinting that all immigrants are bad, while the other video I showed you is saying that immigrants are okay as long as they assimilate.
It just reminds me of the brown shirts in the 30s.
I'm not racist, but if this process continues, we'll be a minority in our own country.
Stop.
Okay, so here is the problem with the idea of being minorities in a country. Black people have been minorities in America all the way back since 1619. Now, being a minority in a country is not enough to create a genocide, because Black people, we've been a minority for centuries, yet we still exist. By the logic of that video, um, Black people wouldn't exist. Dad's arguments is just so bad that even Contrapoints has like a good response to it.
It's always happened and it's always going to happen, whether because of immigration or the internet or whatever. Swedish culture is going to change. English culture is going to change. German culture is going to change. But there's a big difference between death and metamorphosis, and it takes a lot more than a couple million immigrants to kill a culture. So let's consider African American culture as a story of some of the most glorious cultural perseverance in all world history. During the transatlantic slave trade, Africans were ripped by force from their ancestral homeland, shipped to a different continent, placed in literal shackles, and sold as property. Drums, which were the musical centerpiece of their communal life, were forbidden by their white owners. Their language was replaced, they were converted to a new religion, and their genetic makeup was altered over generations of rape. They were about as defeated as a culture can be, and yet, you can't stop a slave in the field from singing. Fast forward to the 20th century, and despite ongoing subjugation, Black Americans ushered in a century-long golden age of music and art that has spread across the world. So don't tell me that a couple million immigrants mean the death of Europe. It could literally be 1,000 times worse, and European culture would still survive in some form or another. And I know my preceding argument won't actually convince people who
So even Contrapoints was able to make a good response to that video. That's how horrible that video is. Like even Contrapoints is like, hello, like look at Black people. They've been in America since 1612, and I mean Black people were raped, like you're talking. This video is about to talk about race mixing being terrible, but Black women have been raped, and yet Black people still exist. It's not like Black people disappeared, and Black people have been lynched and whatnot. But even with the lynching of Black people were still here. So it's quite weird to say. It's quite weird for a to be in a country. I think he lives in the UK that is 86% white. It's quite weird to think that you're just going to be flushed out when Black people have always been a minority in America, yet we're still here. Also, another problem with the line of thinking is that according to like people like that, Sargon of Akkad is a Black man. Because Sargon, he has a Black grandfather. And because Sargon of Akkad has a Black grandfather, Sargon of Akkad is a Black man because you can breed a race out of existence. But let me continue this video and you'll see what I mean.
Fine. Go and have more Jewish babies if you are so concerned.
Hold on, Hitler. Israel is being overrun with non-Jews because of your open border policy. It won't matter how many babies we have. We will still be a minority in our own country. Your policies will have destroyed us.
You Jews need to lighten up.
Yet Black people aren't destroyed, It's like Jews will be destroyed by open immigration, but Black people have always been a minority, and we're still here. That's just incredible.
Culturalism is great. Look at all the wonderful new restaurants you have to eat at now.
Well, people do love Taco Bell, even though Taco Bell is, Mexican. It's just Americanized Mexican food. And people love Chinese food, even though it's not authentic. It's just been Americanized so people could enjoy eating it.
Diversity is good. Diversity is a strength. Diversity is what makes the Middle East so peaceful. And diversity is saving.
And see, this is what I was talking to you about. According to like these people, like Sargon of Akkad is a full-fledged black man, totally black, because, because of race missing, you can just breed out of existence. And because Sargon of Akkad has a black grandfather, he has a black grandfather, and his mom or his dad is just biracial. Therefore, they don't accept Sargon as a white man. They think Sargon is black. By this logic, he can breed people out of existence. By this logic, Sargon of Akkad is a black man.
Hitler, is this your new rainbow dating organization?
Of course. These days I'm all about the love.
You're just the same old Hitler, an anti-Semite trying to erase the Jews.
That's nonsense. How can love be anti-Semitic?
But you are only supporting Jews dating non-Jews. In fact, you are encouraging this.
There is another problem with this. Now, if Jews are being with non-Jews, would that be the genocide of like Muslims? Like, it's kind of like if a black person gets with a white person, isn't that also black genocide as well as white genocide? Are two types of genocide happening at once? It's like if a white person has sex with a black person, and that's white genocide, then if a black person, has sex with a white person, isn't that black genocide? I mean, it's just weird. It's kind of like a vote for Trump. I mean, if you don't, to like non-voters, like the people who say I don't vote, it's like, well, if you don't vote for Trump, you're voting for Hillary Clinton. They're like, well, if I don't vote for Hillary Clinton, am I voting for Donald Trump? Like how a non-vote is just a vote for the party that a person doesn't like, and it's like, if you, it's just crazy. But yeah, non-voters go to the same thing. If you don't vote at all, then you're voting for like Hillary Clinton, or if you don't vote at all, then you're voting for Donald Trump. A non-vote is he votes for the party that, the accuser doesn't like. If you have sex with, a black person, that's, white genocide. But if you have, sex with a white person, and that's black genocide. And if a black man has sex with a white woman, then oh my goodness, black genocide. Two types of genocide are happening at once. So that's the problem with the logic. That is, if a Muslim has sex with a Jew, then they are engaging in Muslim Jewish genocide. But I'll continue.
Multiculturalism and diversity agenda of yours seems to be just a scam to get rid of us for good.
Well, we could mix Asians and Arabs too. Would that make you happy? You are just a jealous racist who can't get a Jewish girlfriend.
No, I am not jealous of anyone. I just believe this is some agenda to get rid of us. You may be for mixing other cultures, but your policies will still lead to a world without Jews. That's
Wait a minute, but it's kind of like if it's mixing other cultures, that's Muslim genocide. Whenever a person sleeps with a person who's not of their race, they are both engaging in genocide at the exact same time. So when a black person and a white person getting are with each other, is white genocide and black genocide. It's two types of genocides happening at once. It's also the genocide of a Muslim culture.
genocide.
Little Zionist, take off your tinfoil hat. You have been reading too many conspiracy websites. Jews all over the world love diversity and multiculturalism. Because I love you, I have given it one more try. We heal the world. We are the children of the rainbow. We heal the world. We are the children of the dream.
No, Hitler. Hitler. Many Jews don't like what's happening, the Jewish people being replaced through immigration.
Jews should just embrace their multicultural future. There is no room on this planet for racism.
Wait, Hitler, you never answered the question. What you're doing is genocide, is it not?
Nonsense. This is natural. People migrate and fall in love. Religions come and go. I would not burden myself worrying over all this.
Look around, Hitler. Everything's non-Jewish now. You have forced a genocidal scheme.
Now, if this is a reflection of reality, then there should be no black people now, because black people have been minorities in America since 1619. So by this person's logic, there should be no black person in existence, and black women have been raped. And even though black women doubled up as sex slaves, black women still exist. By the logic of this video, I shouldn't be here because, I would be bred out of existence. It's quite weird. Or like Sargon of Akkad, he has a black grandfather, therefore he is black, and he doesn't get British culture. He doesn't understand the British culture. He just makes British. He is the problem. Sargon is the problem because he makes the British culture more black and more African because he his father is his grandfather is black, and because his grandfather is black, his grandfather is not English, not British. I mean, it's weird logic that isn't really hard to refute. And yet, it's competing forever, thought it was great and wonderful and it should be shown in schools. And he like defended this video a bit. He said that he thinks it's clever. And not only that, but he seems to double down when he was talking to Braving Ruin. I mean, I can't read his mind. Only he knows what he's thinking. I mean, and I'm not trying to like guilt him or shame him. I cannot read his thoughts. I don't know if they were talking about something different altogether. I mean, I don't know what's going on in his head. Like this is not me trying to shame him or get whatnot. I am just refuting the video that he thought was great, because I do not know if he deleted that tweet because he actually acknowledges that it was a really dumb, stupid thing for him to say, or if he deleted the tweets out of social pressure. Like, was he bullied into deleting the tweets? Like, were there just so many demands that he delete the tweets that he deleted it because people wanted him to, or did he delete it because he disagrees with it? And for that, I would have to be a mind reader, and I do not know what's in his mind. And I'm not trying to be like mean, rude, or disrespectful or anything. I am just refuting the points in the video, and I am really sorry for being rambly. This isn't my best video, so I'm sorry for rambling on and on and on. I'm really sorry. Just I'm really sorry that this isn't my best work, but I would try to make better material as time goes on. So I hope some of you will stick with me until then. I'm just not good at making response videos. Response videos are definitely not my forte, and I don't really have the skills for it. But if if you like me doing Christmas videos, all I could do is try to get better as time goes on. Anyway, this is Rambly Kylas. I hope you can find something good from this video. Anyway, take care, everyone.